Welcome to the Lockdown Lectures, where we are learning about the lives of some of Manchester's amazing researchers. Today we're joined by Professor Dame Nancy Rothwell, President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of Manchester. Appointed to the role in 2010, Nancy is the first woman to lead the University of Manchester or either of its two predecessor institutions. Her research in the field of neuroscience has contributed towards major advances in the understanding and treatment of brain damage in stroke and head injury. She takes an active interest in public communication of science. Nancy was elected Fellow of the Royal Society in June 2004 and made Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire in June 2005 in recognition of her services to science. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you.
So how are you coping with the lockdown at the moment? Has there been any compulsive reading or viewing or anything in particular that's got you through?
No time. I have been just so busy. It's just been mad. So same number of meetings as before, all on Zoom, but also open meetings, Senate meetings, board briefings, discussions with government, lots of extra things as well. So I've been on Zoom an awful lot. But on the other hand, it is quite nice that if I get a 10-minute break, normally I'm in my office looking out the window and catching up on something. I can just occasionally catch a little bit of sunshine. So that's one upside, but not very much.
Sounds like you've been keeping busy then. So what was the spark that inspired you to pursue your area of research, and did you face any challenges along the way?
So I got into research in the first place when I was an undergraduate student. Until then, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was doing a research project. And it was actually realizing that I discovered something really, really small, actually. But to me, it was important that nobody else knew. And that just switched me on to research understanding. And at the time, for a number of years, I worked on obesity. And then by pure chance, one of our experiments threw up a finding that suggested that inflammation was involved in brain disease and there might be a way of stopping brain damage. And so I completely switched fields in a period of 6 months. And ever since, when I'm not being Vice-Chancellor, I find a bit of time to do research on stroke and related disorders.
Sounds good. And at the time of your appointment, Nancy, you were the only female Vice-Chancellor of the elite Russell Group universities. What guidance would you give to young women academics starting out today?
Be confident and grab opportunities. So it feels a bit odd, you know, being the only woman on a committee, and there's been lots of occasions where I am the only woman. The worst thing is there's one other woman and she's taking the notes. That's really bad. But on the other hand, you also have to look at the upside. If you're the only woman in a meeting, everybody will remember you. And you might get asked back again. And there's lots of examples where I know women have got opportunities and they've really thrived because people are looking to have more female representation. They're not getting it because of a token woman. They're good enough, but they're chosen over men that are equal. And you go into a room with a lot of grey suits and people will remember you. So there are some upsides as well. But I think it is being confident and feeling you can speak out. I think it helps, like you, being a northerner, because we tend to say it like it is. It's probably a bit helpful. I've always spoken my mind, but you know, not feeling afraid to speak out.
That's some great advice. And do you think the pandemic will encourage more students to pursue a career in science? And if so, why?
I think it might do, because there's so much in the news about everything around the science behind the pandemic. You know, so much we don't understand. You know, where did it come from? Why do some people get it? Why don't other people? Why are some people really healthy and are really ill and others are not? Can we get a vaccine? And people I know who are not scientists are devouring all the information on it. And maybe it'll be a lot of people want to go into health research, but there's an awful lot of research around it. Research into understanding how kids are learning now they're out of school, how students are managing online, how are older people managing on their own, how are societies changing, how are we trusting doctors, government advisors. So I think a lot of people have been following a huge amount and trying to understand. One of the most interesting comments that came out to me was Brian Cox's comment when advisors said, we're following the science. And Brian made the right comment. There is no such thing as the science. Science is a broad range of evidence, and you accumulate it and you come to a consistent view. There might be more evidence that changes it. That's a really, really hard concept for a lot of people because they think science, there's the answer. And it's not often like that. It's about consensus, it's about building the evidence weight, and then something changes it. And so the best you can do is to take the weight of evidence and then try and accumulate it into what you think is best based on what we know now.
That's a really interesting point. And obviously, given the current pandemic, we're all staying at home. So what do you miss most about the University of Manchester at the moment?
Oh, wandering around the campus and seeing lots of students, and particularly at this time of year when I look out my window and all the students are out on the grass behind the Learning Commons, and I walk through Brunswick Park and they're all out and sitting around. And then I'm really going to miss degree ceremonies. I love degree ceremonies when everybody's celebrating, and particularly if it's sunny. And I haven't been on the campus for ages, and somebody sent me some pictures, and it looks so beautiful at the moment with all the flowers out and everything. I really do miss people and just seeing our lovely campus.
And looking back, what advice would you have given to yourself at the start of your career?
The same advice I give to women now: be a bit bolder, be a bit less hesitant. I was cited in a magazine article of a quote I did. I'm sure it wasn't mine, but it was "Listen to your head, but follow your heart." And I tended to overanalyze a little bit about what I was going to do next. Oh, is that the right thing? Is that the wrong thing? Rather than go, no, I want to do that, I'm going to do it. And I think I should have just been a bit bolder in making decisions. But that's easy to say when you're a bit older and maybe a bit wiser or a bit more experienced. When you're younger, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I suppose hindsight's always handy. And finally, what advice would you have given to yourself at the start of the lockdown?
I think I would have given myself the advice: don't panic. It'll be okay. We'll manage. Because the thought of, oh my God, we might not be able to go out for weeks. We can't be in contact. And actually, people have managed so much better than I expected. The fact that I can host a meeting of 300 people, the fact that we have managed to teach online. And when it first happened, it was like, oh no, this is going to be awful. And it's not great, admittedly, and for some people it's very, very difficult. I do appreciate that. But actually things have worked out better than I could have ever predicted. And I think from what I know now, I would have said, it'll be tough, but it won't be as bad as you imagine.
Thank you, Nancy, for taking the time to answer these questions. It's been great. And now we'll head over to a recording of Nancy's lockdown lecture.
Thank you, and good luck in your career.
Thank you very much.